Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's tutorial, I will demonstrate how to make a wrap skirt for a wrap dress. My name is Ayo and welcome to 011 Clothing's tutorials. On this channel, I upload DIYs, pattern drafting and sewing tutorials. If you haven't subscribed yet, kindly do so. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. So now, let's get right into the tutorial. Thank you! I have here this basic long dress pattern which I drafted in a previous tutorial. The link to the tutorial will be above and in the description box below. I will now separate the bodice from the skirt by cutting the pattern along the waistline like this. So these are the front and the back skirt pieces. Because the front of the skirt features an asymmetrical design, I'll go ahead and cut out the full front skirt pattern on that pattern paper. So this is the full front pattern and this is the center front of the pattern. So now I have gone ahead to sellotape the full front pattern to the back pattern at the side seam. As you can see, I'm making use of the half back pattern because the design at the back is not asymmetrical. So from the hem of the back pattern, I will go ahead to measure and mark 12 inches upwards like this. And I will square a horizontal line across. What I'm doing now is creating the flounce for the lower part of the dress. I will now connect this horizontal line to the upper side of the front pattern like this at the waistline. I will mark 12 inches downwards like this, and this 12 inches will be the side of the flounce that will hang loose at the side of the dress. I will now connect these 12-inch points to the lower end of the back pattern like this. The remaining curve at the lower end of the pattern will be trimmed off and it will not be part of the skirt pattern. So I will now go ahead and cut out the flounce pattern. I will remove the flounce pattern from the main skirt pattern like this. This lower end that I'm cutting out, this piece will be discarded and will not be part of the skirt. I will now sellotape the flounce piece very well. I will sellotape it together very well like this. And this is what the flounce piece looks like before slashing and spreading. I will now go ahead and draw out the slash lines on this flounce piece like this, and the lines are 2 inches apart. I will now number all the sections like this. I will draw arrows to indicate the direction of the slash. So I will slash the flounce in this direction. This is what the front and the back skirt pieces looks like after I have removed the flounce pattern from the lower part of the skirt. I will now separate the two pieces. This is the front piece. I will connect the dart straight down to the hem like this, and I'm going to slash it open later. I will do the same thing for the back pattern as well. I will now slash the back pattern from the hem to the waist dart like this, and I will close the waist dart and sellotape it in place. This automatically opens up the hem of the back pattern. This is my fabric which has been folded into 2 layers. I will now pin the back piece on top of it like this. If you do not intend to introduce a zip at the back of the dress, then the back piece should be cut on fold. However, in my own case, I will have a zip at the back of my dress, and as I mentioned earlier, introducing a zip to the back of a wrap dress is completely optional. I will now pin the skirt pattern to the fabric like this. I will now measure the width of the opening at the hem, and this is 3 inches. I will now add this 3 inches to the side seam like this, and I will connect it to the waistline like this using a ruler. I will add half an inch seam allowance to the waistline, 1.5 inch seam allowance to the new side seam line, and half an inch seam allowance at the hem of the skirt. I will now go ahead and cut it out. This is the front skirt pattern. I will now slash it from the hem to the waist dart like this. Then I will close the 2 waist darts like this, and I will sellotape them in place. This automatically opens up the hem of the front pattern. So now I have pinned the front pattern on my fabric, and the fabric has been folded into 2 layers. I will measure the width of the 2 openings at the hem of the skirt, and this gave me a value of 3 inches, which I'm going to add to the side seam at the hem like this. I will now connect it to the waistline like this using my ruler. I will now add 1.5 inches side seam allowance to the new side seam line like this, half an inch seam allowance at the waistline. I will even out the edges at the hem using my hip curve. Then I will add half an inch seam allowance to the hem of the skirt. I will now cut out the front skirt pieces like this. This is the flounce piece. I will now go ahead and slash it open following the slash lines that I've already drawn on the flounce pattern, but I will not slash them all the way through except 4 points on the flounce pattern so that I can increase the length of the top edge of the flounce. Recall that after closing the waist darts on the main skirt patterns, extra fullness was added to the hem of the skirt. I also added additional fullness to the side seam. Hence, the length of the front and the back hem lines have increased, and I have to also increase the length of the top edge of the flounce so that it matches up with the length of the hem, as these two will be sewn together. So now I have pinned the flounce to the fabric, and the fabric has already been folded into 2 layers. I cut open the flounce piece at these 4 points in order to increase the length of the flounce at the top edge. I opened up the 4 points by 3 inches each. I used 1 inch seam allowance at this side, 1 inch seam allowance at the hem of the flounce, then half an inch seam allowance at the top edge of the flounce. As you can see, I joined my fabric together at this point because I'm already running out of the 6 years of fabric that I intend to use to make this dress. I will now go ahead and cut out the flounce on my fabric like this. I will notch this side of the flounce. It will not be sewn to the main skirt, but rather it will hang loose by the side of the dress. These are the back and the front skirt, main skirt pieces, which I've gone ahead to cut out on my lining fabric as well. And this is the flounce piece, and there is no need to cut any lining fabric for this. These are the front pieces. I will place the lining pieces on top of the Ankara piece like this, right side to right side. I will now go ahead and sew the side seams together using half an inch sewing allowance. This is the back piece. I will also go ahead and place the lining pieces on top of the main Ankara pieces like this, right side to right side. I will now go ahead and sew the side seam and the center back in place using half an inch sewing allowance. These are the two front overlap skirt pieces, and I've already sewn the lining and the Ankara fabric in place, as you can see, and I've given them a thorough press using my iron. And these are the two back skirt pieces, and I've already sewn the lining and the Ankara fabric in place, as you can see, at the side and also at the center back, and I've turned them to the right side, and I've also given them a thorough press using my iron. I will now place the front piece on top of the back piece like this, and I will sew the side seams together using 1 inch sewing allowance. This is the time to insert pockets if you want pockets in your dress. I will do the same thing for the remaining two pieces as well. I'll go ahead and sew the side seams in place using 1 inch sewing allowance. So now the stitching has been done. As you can see, I have stitched the front and the back pieces together at the side seam. These are the two flounce pieces. I will now go ahead and hem this side that will hang loose at the side of the dress. I will also hem the lower part of the flounce. So now that the hemming has been done, I will now pin the flounce piece to the hem of the skirt pieces like this, right side to right side. After pinning, I will take it to my sewing machine and I will stitch it in place using half an inch sewing allowance. So now the stitching has been done, and I've overlocked the raw edges of the two skirt pieces. It is now time to join the two skirt pieces together at the center back. But first, I will measure and mark 7 inches for the zip opening at the center back. I will now sew from the 7-inch point down to the hem of the skirt using half an inch sewing allowance. This step is completely unnecessary if you don't want a zip at the center back of the dress, as the center back would have been cut on fold. So now the stitching has been done, as you can see, and I have pressed open the seam allowance at the center back. I will now bring out the overlap bodice of the dress, which I cut and sew in a previous tutorial. I will place it on top of the overlap skirt like this, right side to right side. I will now pin the waistlines in place, making sure that the side seam lines match up. After pinning, I will take it to my sewing machine and I will stitch it in place using half an inch sewing allowance. So now the stitching has been done, as you can see, and I've already overlocked the raw edges of the seam allowance. I will now go ahead and fix this zip to the center back of the dress. And this is the final look of the wrap dress on the mannequin. If you find this video helpful, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, share this video with your friends who are interested in sewing, and do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. See you in my next tutorial. Bye, and thank you so much for watching.